So let's get going. What is Azure IoT in general? And then you can see some options of Azure services that we can use for IoT use cases. Obviously, Azure IoT Hub, this will be our focus in this training. So basically, this is a communication channel or gateway, if you will, or in IoT we call it ingestion services. So basically, all the messages from IoT devices would be goes through this first to IoT Hub first, and then it can be channeled into another services like event grid, Azure Functions, machine learning, and stream analytics. Obviously, you don't have to know all these things, right? I mean, it depends on the use cases. But if you want to use Azure IoT, this is the first thing that you have to get familiar with, right? And then there's another services like Azure IoT Centers is basically SaaS software services. So basically, it have all the things that you can use for general purpose IoT applications kind of things, and all the things already managed by Azure, so you don't have to worry about the scaling. And IoT Edge is basically how we can do something we call AI at the edge. So basically, if you want to have a lot of processing in the device, in the microcontroller or microprocessor, so basically you can put the intelligence, either machine learning or another processing that you can put on the device, right? So other thing is services that we can use to fulfill our use cases. This is just some kind of guideline. If you want to do IoT solutions for example, for prototyping or for general purpose, to quickly get started with IoT solutions, you can use IoT Central. And for example, if you want to again put intelligence on the device, you can use IoT Edge. And if you want to connect your devices, obviously this is IoT Hub is the first choice, and so on. So this is just a reference architecture, right, from Azure IoT. Obviously, we don't have to implement all these things, but this is just kind of reference architecture from Microsoft, from Azure. At the edge or on the thing side, we can have IoT edge devices or regular IoT devices, that the one that we can implement with ESP32. So all these devices then can transmit the data to the IoT Hub, right? Or can receive the data from IoT Hub. Then from IoT Hub, you can channel all the messages through these to another services in Azure. Either for example, stream analytics. Basically, you can execute some kind of a query language. So if you want to do, for example, hot set analytics, basically that any message that come through the IoT Hub, you can channel to the stream analytics. Then you can do, for example, for notification, if there's some value above some threshold or below some threshold, then you can, for example, do the push notification to mobile apps. So basically, this stream analytics is all about stream processing. So yeah, I mean, eventually the message you can store to some kind of storage, either database or time series storage. Then then all those data then can be processed with Azure Machine Learning. This reference architecture is using Azure platform as services component. But another options that you can do is you can use, again, Azure IoT Central. I'll explain after this. So let's take a look at it. So this is Azure IoT Central. Basically, you have full function application, full function software. For example, you can use to add your devices, then you can monitor the data that coming through the from the devices. So this just some the capture of the data from accelerometer, for example, from humidity, temperature. So you can check the live data coming from the devices, and then you can channel to another service like Stream Analytics and so on. This simplicity, of course, comes with trade-off. It's not really customizable, obviously. So if you compare to previous offering with the PaaS and the PaaS, this is you can tailor everything that you want, right? But if you're using Azure IoT Central, then is less customizable. But of course you can quickly get started. For example, if you want to do the demo to the client, for example, or you just want to get the data, right, for devices, it's much faster. Now we focused on the Azure IoT Hub. So what Azure IoT Hub is all about and how we can use it. For example, we can use it for communication channel, right? So it's a bi-directional communication, either a device to cloud. There are some terms here. We call it device to cloud or D2C. You're going to see that term later in samples. So D2C is basically device to cloud messaging, or you can do cloud to device or C2D messaging. You use it for sending commands, right, or sending parameters, for example. And we can track the delivery. I mean, you can make sure that the message is actually arrived to the destination. There's some feature also to resend the messages from the device. For example, if you have a connectivity that not really reliable, for example, there's some features that we can use to resend the device messages from the device. There are a lot of supports in terms of SDKs for many language and platforms. So, for example, you have your team working on the back end, for example, or you have your device that support language like Node.js or Python. You can use it. You can use the SDK to quickly integrate Azure IoT Hub to your device. Obviously, for ESP32, we have to use C or C++. And if you have mobile application, then you can use the iOS SDK or Android SDK. And currently, the protocol support is obviously MQTT. And initially, they support AMQP and also HTTP, right? Or HTTPS. Obviously, for the device to connect to your IoT Hub, they have some kind of authentication. Yeah, obviously, we have to make sure that the device that connect to your services has to be authenticated. All that thing is already managed by Azure IoT Hub and the SDK. And also, for example, if the key for the connection is somehow leak or get to the wrong hand, you can revoke the access rights. There's also again there's a device provisioning functionality that basically to be onboarding the device to Azure IoT Hub, we can do some kind of automation so that we don't have to do manual provisioning, but still secure. Again, like I said in the beginning, that we can integrate Azure IoT Hub to other services. Like this is the Event Grid, Logic Apps, Machine Learning, and Stream Analytics. Just a bit of introduction that Logic Apps is for automating business process. In the term of the cloud computing, there's something called serverless architecture. So basically, Logic Apps are like that. So basically, you can put some logic, either it's a long process or short process. So for example, if you have some message, you want to execute something, right? So for example, if you have message from device or alert from the device, then you want to sending email, for example. So Logic Apps are obviously the way to do that. And Stream Analytics is for processing your stream of messages. Right, so let's get started to do the Azure IoT Hub instance creation. So obviously, we need to log into our Azure portal. So to create Azure IoT Hub is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So you choose Internet of Things from Azure Marketplace, then you choose the IoT Hub, then later you can fill in some details. For example, you can choose subscription. Then you have to choose the resource group. Either you choose existing resource group or you can create new from here. While I'm here, I'm going to just explain a bit about what is resource group. So basically, if you want to logically collect all the services that you create within one logical group, so you can create a resource group. The reason we do that is, for example, if you just want to try things out and then later you want to delete all the things that you have tried, then you can just delete one resource group, right? So all the services within that resource group will be deleted instead of you delete one by one. So basically just logical collection of the instances or services within Azure. And then you choose the region. Obviously, you should choose the nearby region from your site. For example, later when you deploy, like say you deploy in Southeast Asia, then obviously you can choose the region within Southeast Asia. And then you put the unique name for the IoT Hub. So it has to be unique. I believe this has to be unique globally. So because later we can access the what we call it endpoints of the IoT Hubs using kind of domain name. So first thing you can do is create a resources. You click the Internet of Things, then you IoT Hub. Yeah, you click IoT Hub. Now you choose your subscription. Then you choose your resource group. Then region is you can choose whichever region that near to your place. Obviously, you can choose whatever region, but usually it's faster if you choose region closer to you. The naming has to be, obviously you cannot use a space. You have to be. So as you can see here, there's a error. You can use whatever you want, right? I mean, I'm just using this text, size, and scale.
Okay.
So this is very important because
Yes.
this selection will, determine what kind of feature that you have. For example, you for the first ever IoT Hub in your subscription, you can choose free trial. You can choose free trial, but I cannot choose that because I already use. I mean, I already create free trial before,
Okay.
long before. So I cannot choose it again. So I have to just do another scale. For example, if I choose a basic tire, regardless whichever it is, you can see that the feature that supported is basically like this, right? I mean, you can send message per day is for 100,000 messages. So this is for all devices, and it will estimate what the cost per month. Another important thing is this one. This is very important because if you choose basic, you cannot send the command to the device, right? So this is very important because later
Yes.
we will try this out. So that's why for now you can choose the start. From this you can also choose the units. This is for scaling, right? How many instances, how many units that you want to use for this IoT Hub. So obviously for now you can choose just one, then later you can change it to bigger number. I think that's for now. And then you can go to tag.
Okay.
So tag basically just key value settings or key value pair that you can use for for anything basically. I mean, basically you want to categorize. For example, if you want to categorize by client, for example, you can choose it. Okay, now then you review all the settings. If you're happy with this setting, then you can do create. Okay, so obviously it will take some time to create the resources. So if you go anywhere, I mean, let's say you go to your home, for example, you click to another menu, then you can still track the progress from here. Thing is actually it's not for firmware engineer, right? Obviously, it's just usually prepared by the DevOps guy or the back end developer. So it's not for the firmware developer, obviously, but sometimes it's easier for example, for testing your code on your firmware. Then sometimes it's faster to just for you to create by yourself, right? Instead of waiting for another guys to create it, because it's easy. I mean, it's not that hard. Yeah, you can go to resource. The overview, obviously, you can check your overview data from your IoT Hub. For now, we want to provision our device. So later, if you want to connect the ESP32, you have to register that device first. Register means that you create the device first, then you can use the key to be used by your actual device, I mean actual ESP32. So to do that, you go to Explorer, you click that IoT device menu, click new here, then you type in the device ID. So device ID is like any ID. It has to be unique for all devices within a IoT hub. Later, if you have 1,000 devices, then you need to use unique IDs for all those devices. For example, I can use ESP01, for example. Then you can choose the. This is what I've talked about in the slides, that this is the authentication that you need to choose. For now, we can choose symmetric keys. So with this selection, IoT Hub will create key for each device. Then that key will be used later in the firmware. You can type your own keys, but obviously it's better to just auto-generate the keys, right? Yeah, I think that's for now. We can click save here. Next thing we can do is, sometimes it's slower, right, to use portal. Obviously depends on your internet connection, but sometimes it's slower to do all the things from the portal. So that's why we can use the Azure IoT tools. So this is basically a extension for VS Code. It's easy to install that. You can just open your Visual Studio Code. Then you go to extensions, and you type this. Okay, now obviously you have to install it. I mean, I already installed it. Another extension that you have to install is this one, Azure account. Welcome. Okay. If you somehow don't see the screen, you can go to Control-Shift-P, right? Then you can see this drop-down command, and then you choose Show Welcome page. Now we can select our IoT Hub that we want to access. You can click this one. Then this selection will appear. You can make sure that it's already logged in. You can see this something like this in the bottom part of the VS Code. So you select your IoT Hub. In here, you have devices menu, and then if you drill down, then you can see your device here. If sometime later you don't see this, you can always go to refresh here. From here, actually, you can create a device as well. From these actions, you can click, and then you can create the device here. And then it will appear this to enter device ID. So we can try to create from here. Let's say ESP02, for example, and then you enter, and it will. From here, you can check the detail for this particular device. For example, I can get device info, then it will be output. Okay, so you can check the device info. It's similar that you saw on the portal. For example, you can get the you can know the device ID, and then you can check the key. The key that you want to use for the firmware later. I think one of the most important thing is this one. we call it connection string, which later you can you need to copy this connection string and use it on the firmware. But if you want just to copy the connection string, you can also right click, and then I think from this we can continue with the CLI. Then after Alvin showing the CLI, then I will continue to send some data from the device and continue to use this this tool.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, I think Mr. Andrew has already explained what the CLI is and what it's mostly for. So I think basically the CLI is just a set of commands that you can use to manage Azure services or resources. And you can actually manage or create resource on almost every Azure services. I mean, not only the Azure IoT Hub, you can create virtual machines, for instance, or another thing. Okay, and Azure CLI is basically designed for every developers to work quickly with the Azure, and I think the quick is defined for the automation. So I mean, if you have to type the commands every time, I mean, it's not that fast unless you have some kind of automation scripts. Then the Azure CLI is really handy tool. I think most of the use case is for orchestrating the creation of some services, or like, I mean, if you want to test some device, then you can just create the IoT Hub, and then when you don't need it, and you can delete this IoT Hub using the CLI. And if you have the automation script for that, it's pretty quick, much faster than what you did with the Azure portal. I think Azure CLI is available for the big three OS, which is Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And it also can run inside a Docker container. So I think you mentioned Docker earlier, used for running software where you don't need to kind of worry if the software will run on your server or not. So basically Docker is just for guaranteeing that the software you develop on your laptop will run in the same state as it is in the server eventually. So I think for us, for a developer, we are not going to use Docker as much. And then the Azure CLI also available in Azure Cloud Shell. So if you are working with Azure Portal, then you can see. I'm going to share this. So this one here, this is the Cloud Shell. Yeah, if you want to use Cloud Shell, then you need to create at least one storage account. So I think mostly you won't need this. You will not need this, because yeah, it's actually you have to load the Azure portal first before you can access the Azure Cloud Shell. So it's not that feasible if you have to open the browser every time. I mean, okay, so here I'm going to show you that. So the CLI is available in Azure Cloud Shell. And then the cool thing about Azure CLI is you can choose the appropriate format of the output of the command that's suitable for your needs. I mean, you can output the output using some kind of JSON formatting, the one that you see in Mr. Andrew's screen earlier, or you can format it using tables or something. So I think it's quite flexible for that. And to install it, you will need to download this if you want to access it. if you want to use the Azure CLI, both from PowerShell or command prompt, you need to install it using this installer.
Okay.
If you are using PowerShell, I think there is another way. Okay. I think I have installed it. So yeah, it is installed on my machine. So I think if you have installed the Azure CLI, then you can try open your command prompt and then type this AZ or AZ. So and then if you see similar output.
Can you make it bigger a bit?
Okay. So yeah, you can type this 2 letter on your command prompt. Then if you see some kind of output like this, then the Azure CLI is installed properly. So the first thing you want to do with the Azure CLI is you want to try to log in. I think this step is very similar with the one that you did with the Azure IoT tools in VS Code. It will open the browser. Let's see. Okay. So in my computer, it will open the Chrome, Google Chrome. It's my default browser. So let's see.
Chrome.
So, and this page is actually
okay.
displaying Bahasa Indonesia instead of English. So yeah, I'm going to use this one account.
Okay.
Then it's absolutely the same than the one that you did with the VS Code extension. So if you have, then you can close. And then the Azure CLI will try to query, or it will find any subscription available in your account, and it will show it here in the output. So I have to wait. So this one is output using the JSON output. So like I think it's and you can use this command as account. So this command it will try to show you what are the sub commands available in this under this command, and you have to choose which one of the subscription that you want to use. You see, yes, set, then provide the name. Is subscription, not name. So if you type some unrecognized options or flags, it will print the available flags. So yeah, it's already set. So I think I'm going to create a Azure IoT Hub in this subscription. So I think you have to install some kind of extension first if you are going to use the CLI. If you want to manage the Azure IoT services like Azure IoT Hub using the CLI, you need to install the extension of the Azure CLI. So using this command, I'm going to clear this terminal first. Azure extension, add flag name Azure IoT. So it will try to install. It should be extension. So if you type some kind of comments that are not available, it will try to give you some suggestion. So I have installed this extension. So it will try to tell me that it is already installed. If it's not installed, then you will have to wait for sometimes. I think it will take a couple of minutes, depend on your internet connection. I'm going to create an Azure IoT Hub. So before that, I'm going to create the group first. I think I'm going to create Azure group, create. I'm going to create the resource group for that IoT Hub. Name, for example. And then I'm going to choose the location at Southeast Asia as it is the closest region.
Okay.
So yeah, it has already created the resource group. And then I'm going to create the Azure IoT Hub. Here it is, Azure IoT Hub. Create name. This one is going to location. Southeast Asia. Then I'm going to add this Azure IoT Hub to the resource group that I already created before. This is, okay, let's try this. And this one is actually error. So as you can see, this Azure IoT Hub create command takes a lot of parameters like this name and location. But actually, we need to specify this partition count to this number because by default it will use this 4. Now let's see what are the, so it's a lot of parameters available. So we can choose the partition count using this flag. So I think create it first, and then I'm going to use partition count. In this should be success. I think it will take some time. So running.
So to explain a bit about partition count, it's actually when you create it using the portal before that that I showed you. So you can actually choose the partition count from the portal, but it's on the advanced setting, which I don't really I don't show you earlier because it's not something you should play around with for now. So usually to be safe, partition count has to be 2 or more, but usually you can choose 4 for the most cases, right? So the minimum should be 2, but the maximum, maximum can be 32, right? Up to 32, but for usual case you can choose 4. So that's about partition count. It's related to the processing that you want to do later. When I explain about the Azure IoT Hub, I explained that you can connect with another services, right? Either stream analytics, either machine learning, or more. It's related to the how many output or how many other services that you want to integrate with Azure IoT Hub. So partition count is related to that. Calvin, continue.
The Azure IoT Hub is now created, so you can see this a lot of information here. And So this one will create the free tire. I think you can choose the free tire using one of the flags from this command. But by default, we will try to create the free one. Okay. So I'm going to show you the Azure portal. So actually, the IoT Hub should be here. Let's try. See the resource groups. This one. This is the resource group that I created earlier using the CLI. And then this one, IoT Hub. So yeah, by using CLI, I think you are freed from the burden of opening a web page. But you have to remember all these commands and parameters. Yeah. So I think I'm going to try creating a device using Azure CLI. So to create the device, Azure IoT Hub device identity, and then I'm going to create, and then I'm going to provide the device ID. This one's developer. Yeah, you can provide any device ID suitable for your needs. Then I'm going to provide the hub name, which is this one. This one. So then enter. So it will try to create a device. Yeah. So I think it is already created. It's the key you'll probably want to use. And then you can see here under the IoT devices. So yeah, this one. Okay, that is already created. And then you can also try to create, if you have multiple devices and you want to see all of the devices available, you can choose the IoT
like
Hub
a table.
device identity, right? Hub name, this one, and then I'm going to use the table format of the output. In this, yeah.
Right,
So
there it is.
if you want to use another format, then you can. YAML is like the much more readable version of the JSON. So this one is JSON, and then it's YAML. And then you can, if you have already achieved what we have been doing using the Azure portal or Azure IoT tools extension. So yeah, I mean, pretty much we are in the same state now. So I think I'm going to show you how to show the connection string. Azure IoT Hub device identity, and then show connection string. And then I'm going to choose the hub name. And then I'm going to choose the device ID. So the device ID is this one.
There it is.
So by default the output format is using JSON. You can choose the table format or much more easier view. Yeah. So this connection string, it is contains a lot of information. First, this is the, I think this is the DNS for your Azure IoT Hub, and then this is the device ID, and then this is the shared access key, which is used as some kind of password for the device authentication. So if you somehow lose the shared access key, then you won't be able to connect to the Azure IoT Hub.